and welcome to my channel. Welcome to the third Sunday in Advent. Now excuse me, I'm trying to not have so much glare on the part of the canvas that's off my light pad, but I need to reach my drills, so I've blocked some of it off. Hopefully it's not going to be too much of a disaster. Just realised I don't have my tray. Alright, third Sunday in Advent. We have, it's the 15th, we have 10 days to Christmas. That is that 9 sleeps? I'm really bad at the sleeps. I never really did a kind of sleep countdown or anything with my kids when they were little. The pen I've got, I'm trying out the plastic tip for the first time. I've replaced all my fat multis with skinnies, and again kind of trialing that. This time I'm just doing this portion. The portions are getting much smaller, and as I said, in the final Sunday, no, on Christmas Day, I'm putting the star on the tree. I just took a quick look at Google to see what the third Sunday in Advent actually meant. I do like being slightly knowledgeable. Why is it not sticking? When I do some of these things, and if it means something, it might not have, but it does stand for something. Really, that's being quite difficult. I know these are ABs, and this is reasonably fresher blue tack. Maybe I should have put some drills down and muddied it up, or maybe it's just a bad piece of sticky. Don't know. Anyway, I'll keep going. Yes, the third Sunday in Advent is joy, or rejoicing. The theory behind that being that we're to, I suppose, anticipate Jesus' arrival. Now, I don't know when Mary is said to have got to the stable, but if I was pregnant and homeless and looking for a place to stay, I think I'd actually be quite frantic about now. And she was a teen mum. Allegedly she was 16 because she was not married. She was betrothed to Joseph, and that was the age that they married them off, that young. Now, I'm not going to try and get too religious as such, but I will maybe share what I've learned, I suppose, as the Bible stories. Now, quite happy to be corrected if I've got a story wrong, but I'm hoping I don't, because I hope I ask enough questions to get the story correct. I need more whites. I'm so worried about running out of 141s. There doesn't seem to be many, but then they just keep going. It's like this eternal cookie that just keeps giving, which is all kinds of cool. Alright. So yeah, the whole build-up for the anticipation, I suppose, of Jesus coming. You know, it's all well and good in hindsight, and I think we get that in everything. We always get to look back and go, oh, but we were, you know, we can anticipate this. You know, it's the birthday coming up for anyone. If you've got kids, if you've got to a certain age, you actually don't care about your own birthday anymore. But your kids, you know, when they're 7, it's kind of 7.5, and they've got this whole, but I'm 7.5, and that half is so important to them when they're that small. Out of 4 dots, I need 3s. So yeah, as I said, hindsight, yeah, it's pretty good, but in the whole scheme of things, 16, pregnant, strange town, hundreds of strangers around because it was census time and they all were told to go back where they came from. That's why Joseph actually brought them back to Bethlehem, because Herod insisted on a head count. I seem to remember in some of my Bible history somewhere, and again, I could be corrected on this one, but I think God had said at one point, don't do a head count of something. Yeah, that's alright. Solomon was supposedly the wisest man and he screwed up big time. So yeah, there's a lot of things that we have stuffed up along the way. I think it was just about being prideful, and he was saying, you know, don't do this, don't count this and think I'm the business because of having so much. But yeah, Herod had already been, I think, told that the new ruler of Israel, or the world, was due, and the wise men were trying to divert him as well. I'm not quite sure of the timing. I do know that the wise men were believed not to have got to Jesus until 11 days after he got there. Well, it's what we celebrate now. It could have been a lot longer. But they were following the star, and the rumours were back to Herod that the new king was coming. And that kind of ticked off the current king in situ, as would happen, I suppose, with any kingdom. Probably less so with our kind of government that we have now, with prime ministers and stuff, which are supposedly elected individuals. But if you were told your authority was in question by a new king, I think you'd be understandably worried, depending on how you actually ran your little empire. So lead up to Christmas, I'm working. I'm actually working this weekend. In my role, we occasionally have to do non-Monday to Friday stuff, and this weekend is my non-Monday to Friday stuff, so I will be working 7 days in a row. And just before Christmas, it's like, oh, yike. So it will be, yes, just a long week. I then work, I have the weekend off next weekend, and then I work Monday, Tuesday. I'm off Wednesday, Thursday. Nope, I'm not. I think I'm working Monday, off Tuesday, Wednesday, because I'm off Christmas Day, and then I'm back at work Boxing Day. The joys. I have it in my phone, so I don't have to remember it. But yeah, I think I need to start remembering. So I have no idea with our plans. Ooh, I dropped a one. You can go up there. I had a bit of an adventure coming home this afternoon. I had a random trail bike rider on a little peewee trail bike, and the youths around here are really a law unto themselves. So he's driving around this little loop of a road, quiet road, and I drive down and I beat my horn at him as I pass, and he starts following me, and I was like, oh my god. So I have to drive past the house and try and put him off where he thinks he might be able to follow me to. So that was fun, whole adrenaline going. And all this in between Mrs. Coffee's lives. I had started listening when I was leaving work, and where's that this dude interrupted my flow. I was listening in the car, trying to mind my own business, get home, come in, make a tea, and sit down and listen to Mrs. Coffee and catch up with everyone on the Saturday Lives. No. This guy went and stuffed me around. I had to sit in the car and I had to download dash cam footage and calm down a bit. Any more little pills? Doesn't seem to be. It's certainly nice coming home to have a toddler gleefully looking out for me, and big smiles on her face though. Still haven't done any shopping. I did look in the cupboard last weekend. Do you remember I was talking about the ingredients for the stained glass cake? I was asked to hunt down cloves to go on our bolognese last week, and I found the nuts and glacé cherries that I had bought last year, not last year, earlier on this year, to put into the cake. So I think that might be a next weekend kind of job. I made the cake, I've only made it once, and it wasn't a scratch on Grandma's cake. Yeah, never gonna get there. Made the cake, and I think it was eaten in a couple of days, but I really enjoyed it. It wasn't like a dark Christmas cake. As I said, it's a white flesh cake, and it's not necessarily even a Christmas cake. It's just the special time of year, I guess. Have special occasions. My colleague came into work. He, as a side hustle, makes cakes. And he does this awesome job of cake art. And he had made a cake today for the Christmas party that is happening at work, which I'm not going back out for. But he made a cake, and it's Santa Claus in bed, and his toes are peeking out the end of the blankets, and he's got a big red blanket across the bed. Apparently it's fruitcake, and it's got the marzipan, and it just looked absolutely fantastic. So there was a little bit of regret of not going to the party, but I may send a message to one of the girls saying, hey, can you give me some cake? Because I do like fruitcake, but I don't have enough bodies to eat it. My ex never enjoyed fruitcake, so I never really got into a habit of making the traditional fruitcake, because it does last a long time. I think Mum used to store it in a tin. Especially when you've got it iced. That would be kind of cool, having a piece of cake. And one that's been, well, I don't know how handmade it's been. It may be machine made, but it's made by a friend. It's got brandy apparently in it. As he said, that he's got the marzipan through it. So yeah, all kinds of cool. But tonight is pizza night. So that's what we get tonight. It's getting warmer. Apparently they are expecting heatwave conditions across Australia this week. Like, seriously. Well, hang on. So we're expecting temperatures high 40s and into the 50s. Okay, it's high 50s in the central kind of plateau, which is around Alice Springs and stuff. In France and in England, I remember weather in the 20s would kill people. So I don't know if we usually get reported that there's deaths due to the heat in Australia. I think we have all learned to work at air conditioning and things like that. But yeah, always remember in the high heats over in, when I lived in Ireland, you'd hear about people dying in the UK, London and Paris and things like that, because of the high heat. I have to say, like 23 degrees over in Ireland is, that's a hot day. That's a pretty hot day. And Rachel can probably attest to that. So I haven't really been to the shops. Kind of avoiding it, to be honest. And like I said last week, they're a little bit different here. They don't have the mad panic. We did get an email today saying we have to do one more shop before Tuesday to be able to get a voucher, but that's just grocery shopping, so the plan is to do grocery shopping early. And of course, Christmas Day being Wednesday is our usual delivery day, so we're going to have to plan around that and actually start talking about food and what we need and all of that kind of thing. I remember when I was working in the supermarket in Ireland, we used to have a loyalty scheme that you earned points, and those points could be exchanged for items. Well, coming up to the week before Christmas, all those extra points would be taken off all the products. So you literally only got points for money spent. So it wasn't a case of if you picked up a particular brand of something, you would get extra bonus points. But just because there's stuff going out everywhere, and I guess they kind of knew it. But one of the first things I got from there was actually a ring. It was a Russian ring. So that was kind of cool. It used to interlock with each other, and I learnt how to put it together after it fell apart, and it got to a point where one of the rings broke. My fingers have got too big to wear it anymore, to, you know, get over the chubby knuckles in comparison. So I haven't actually got it repaired, but I do have a local jewellery maker who is really good at repair. But that was one of the first things I bought from there. And I bought my kid's nappy bag, coincidentally. It was an Antler, I think it was Antler. It was one of these multicolored backpacks, and I loved it so much I ended up ditching the nappy bag for one of these backpacks that was brightly colored, and it didn't quite look so bulky and stupid. Used it for absolutely years, and the only problem with it now is the vinyl on the lining is starting to crack. But outside it's canvas, so it's lasted, and it looks like it's lasted. So I still have it. It's not used every day now. I actually got a new bag with Sophie. I got a leather bag that somebody was selling that's a nappy bag. Like, this thing is, I don't know, a couple of $100 new. And I bought it second hand from her for, I don't know, 20-30 bucks. So I was pretty pleased with that deal. But it's red and it's leather and, yeah, all the pretty. I know the momentum is starting to rise as we're getting YouTubers starting to post their premiere. We're talking about it in lives, and I will probably start putting photos up, if I haven't, throughout the groups. I haven't seen anyone else really putting photos up. I have seen some people promote it on their own channel. Not everyone does lives yet. Between having phone only YouTube, and they don't have the subscriber count to be able to do a live from their phone, Not everyone is quite there. Now this won't be happening on the Christmas premiere, but Ashley Crafts with Crashly and I have been trying to play with multi-streaming, so all the creators jump into the one stream so you can see multiple people at the same time. She tried it last week with Mickey, Marissa. I'm sorry, Marissa, I hate your channel name. Crafty Heifer is just putting yourself down, girl. I know. I can't think of her as a heifer. I really can't. Sorry, Marissa. You're so much better than that. Even though the cow is kind of cool. Anyway, they were playing in the multi-stream. They were using BeLive. Not brilliant. It was a little bit twitchy and jumpy, but some of that was Ashley actually moving people around. But we couldn't label them, and yeah, we'll get there. But we hope we might be able to do it for the DP-a-thon in January. End of January we have another extravaganza. We have 24 hours of... Sorry. We have 24 1.5-hour slots. I think that's it. And we have 36 people already signed up. So the only way for everybody to join in is for these multis to potentially work. So what it could be is you've got a bigger YouTuber with a smaller YouTuber. Or it could be, you know, 3 or 4 of the smaller YouTubers just get together. The whole point with the DP-a-thon is to boost the smaller YouTubers. And yeah, just give a wider audience for you. And look, to be honest, we all start at 0, so you never know who might be the next Stitcherista or Mrs. Coffee or Rachel Ray or, God forbid, Peter McKinnon. Do you know who Peter McKinnon is? Peter McKinnon is actually a YouTuber who does photography and filmography. He started off, I think, just as this little niche channel on photography, and he actually reminds me so much of my eldest boy. He's kind of hipster. He's got, you know, the kind of semi-groomed look of the scruffy beard, and but just the mannerisms are just really, really cool. He does outtakes in all of his videos. And what actually got me onto Peter McKinnon was Stitcherista. She was talking about what makes a good channel. That's definitely not going to be enough for the V's. There's quite a few greens in the top. So yeah, she was talking about what makes a good YouTube channel. And what makes a good YouTube channel is something that, well, I was watching the video that she showed, and the video she showed was actually not Peter McKinnon. It was somebody else talking about how Peter McKinnon was so successful. Peter McKinnon, as a YouTuber, is apparently so successful at what he does because of how he does it. So I'm kind of thinking, well, who is he and how do I improve my channel and stuff? And what is it that makes somebody get 1,000 likes, or sorry, not 1,000 likes, 1,000 subscribers in, you know, less than a year, like we've seen with Sherry or Jeremy? How is it that they can grow in this fashion and all of that kind of thing? So I was, you know, doing some research, and I'm kind of going, yeah, okay, I'll watch this dude who's talking about Peter McKinnon. I'm kind of thinking, you know, I'm not so sure you're actually as good as Peter McKinnon. This is the dude who's talking about Peter McKinnon. I think what he's doing is kind of riding on Peter McKinnon's coattails. By putting his name in his video. A little bit like the whole Copa thing. People are getting watchers because you've got the name Copa in your video stream. And it doesn't necessarily mean that what you're saying is any damn good at all. So I've been really picky about who I watch from the COPA FTC kind of stable with this whole YouTube-y debacle with the children protection, because we need to protect our kids. But I'm not necessarily going to listen to everybody who is crying wolf just because they put those words in. So I hope if there is anything serious happening, you don't think that you're going to get scaremongering from me. I hope you would know that you're going to hopefully get a semi-educated answer. So if you've got questions, please ask me. I will do my research as best I can. So yeah, this dude was talking about Peter. So I went and I watched Peter, and I actually liked how he presented, and he does the whole talking to camera, and I'm learning to talk to camera. I have a friend of mine who's actually in the media, and she does pieces to camera all the time because that's her job. And it's very, very different when you're a diamond painter. And I'm looking over at my screen. My screen is over that way, so I'm sorry if I'm looking away from you guys. But when I'm doing a piece to camera, I'm having to look at a camera rather than a face, which is really off-putting. It's very new to have to focus on that little lens there and not on something else. So think about it the next time you're taking photos, and maybe this is something I'm very conscious of, because my ex used to always want everybody looking at the camera, smiling all at the same time. I just went for the au naturel shots, and to be honest, the au naturel shots were so much better. You'd get the laughing, and you'd get true laughter, you'd get the smiles actually in the eyes, that kind of thing. So when I see people after the kind of fake stuff just because they think it's going to look good, I don't really go for that. And I think you can spot it. We're not stupid. We're humans, and humans are very, very good at reading body language. So we know if somebody's having an off time. We know if the tone of voice is wrong. We know if the body language is wrong. We know, and we might not be fully aware of this, but we can spot liars very, very quickly. And we might not necessarily know why we know what we know, but we kind of have that niggling. It's only as you explore those kind of beliefs, I guess, that you understand what you're actually seeing and what you're understanding and what your body's understanding. So yeah, really, really enjoyed how Peter just presented. He spoke to the camera. He talked about his passion. One of the things was that he I was going to just kind of say stayed on point. But no, his channel stayed on point. So he might not have stayed on point, but his channel stayed on point. And he figured out what it was he wanted to present with his channel. So, for instance, the question really was, well, why did you start your channel? Why did you decide to do what you do? And from his point of view, he would talk about photography, and he found his passion was photography, so he focused on photography. Now there's a couple of offshoots on that, but he's focusing on the one thing. So I'm questioning myself, I'm questioning my own kind of motives. Why do I want to have what I have on the channel? Where do I want to take it? Where is the future for me on YouTube? And I've watched the YouTubers that I admire. I don't watch YouTube normally. Did not watch YouTube normally until a year ago. And people are kind of saying, oh no, you choose celebrities and, you know, they've got 1 million views. And I'm kind of going, who the hell are these people? I don't know them. And there are huge celebrities out there on YouTube. Well, okay, so I was very unfamiliar. So Stitcherista is somebody that I've followed for this last year, and I've seen her with her various topics, and she'll talk about the books She'll do a tag on movies. She will talk about her cross stitch. She will talk about her diamond painting. Now she's got into the colouring. You know, but she's got this thing happening that kind of ebbs and flows through these different crafts. And I can see how she's got the viewers that she's got, and how her numbers have grown the way they have grown, and how watching friends of mine go from, blimey, Rachel, what would you have been a year ago? You would have, I mean, you've got 1,000 in the space of, I think, a month. But you've gone from, I think you might have been around the 1,500 when I started watching you, and now you're over 6. And you've actually flown past Mrs. Coffee. And you are predominantly a diamond painter. Now you're starting to do your floss tube. You've done your stories, which we all love. You put us to sleep. Well, you don't put me asleep. But, you know, we each have the different flavors. There are really only, I think, so many diamond painters out there. Now, I'd really love to get the numbers. I have been privy to some information that says, you know, a lot of customers don't necessarily come from YouTube at all. But they're independent buyers, and I don't know how they find the info. If they're not following YouTube, what are they actually following? How are they hooked in on these things? You know, I don't see advertising for in the US, so I don't know if there is Diamond Art Club advertising. I don't know if there's Diamond Dots advertising. Over here, when I got into this, I was watching a friend of mine doing diamond painting, and she would do diamond dots, I think. It was predominantly diamond dots. Now, as a watcher, I guess, a friend of hers on Facebook, I actually didn't like diamond dots. It was pixelated. Maybe it was just the pictures she was doing. You couldn't pick the sizes or anything like this. So I just didn't want to get involved. And then I think she messaged me and said, that's not in the right place at all. She messaged me and she said, our discount store in our area, we have, look, we're a city of 200,000 plus. It's not a big city, city-wise. But so we've got a couple of central hubs, and each of those hubs kind of has some of these discount stores. Excuse me. So I have one of these discount stores close to me, and she said the discount store actually has these in stock. And I'd been watching her pictures, and I'd been kind of vaguely looking at them going, oh my god, they're so pixelated. And I guess from my point of view, I've spoken about this before. I've had glasses since I was 12. I hate anything fuzzy and out of focus. So looking at things that are pixelated really didn't do it for me. So the effect, I was looking at people who would put things up on Facebook or put things up on YouTube in the groups, and I'm thinking, oh, are you serious? And they're kind of going, this is awesome, and I'm going, you can't tell what it is. So there'd be disasters like the Disney princesses. I am sure you have seen the Disney princesses, and the Disney princesses might be great. The picture is awesome. It's so damned busy. You need to have something that is the size of the room's wall. It's got to be monstrous to get the same detail that you would see in a picture, because you're using 2.8 dot pixels. So yeah, I was just completely put off by that. But then, okay, it came into the store. If I remember, I will try and put up one of my first DPs as a picture. I'll see if I can find it on Google and I will share it somewhere kind of here. So I did, I think the first one was a tiger, and then the next one was, okay, it might not have been the next one, but there was a dragon and there were horses. The horses were three white horses running down the beach, and you've got two with their heads up and then one has got just its head down. And I did this diamond painting, and I swear to God, I looked at it and thought, what is that blob on the left hand side as I looked at it? Could not make it out. Ended up looking at it, I think, through camera and could see, oh my God, it's the horse's head leaning down. And I'm kind of thinking, this is really, really hard to see and it's rubbish. But it was, I don't know, $8 and it got me hooked. Well, not, okay, it didn't get me hooked. What got me hooked was the process of picking a drill up in the stupid pink pen with the silly wax and putting it on the sticky stuff. And I'm kind of going dab, 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 dab. And it was like, holy crap, this is actually relaxing. So yeah, I got absolutely hooked on this. The other thing that had me really reluctant to get into it, and I have mentioned it before briefly on some other channels maybe, was the whole microplastics. And it was like, yeah, but these are tiny bits of plastic and the turtles are already dying with straws stuffed up their noses and things. And I was like, do I really want to be adding to microplastics in the ocean and buying stuff off China, who really don't give a toss about anything? We have so many arguments with China, even about fishing and whale harvesting and stuff. They're not going to care about plastics. And I was like, oh God, I really don't want to add to the whole market of it. It's like the what is it? Supply and demand economics. You know, if we start clamoring for more diamond paintings, they're going to supply more of these microplastics. And this stuff we get in the kits, this is the good stuff. The drags and the dregs that we get in, you know, the bad bags of 310, that rubbish, that's what ends up out in landfill. And that's what ends up in the stomachs of the whales kind of thing. And it's like, this is why I was so reluctant to, you know, get involved. So, I mean, it's the process of doing this. Yes, it might look pixelated. Yes, size does matter. Hey, Sophie. No, Dan. Size really does matter when it comes to diamond painting. I very recently got a clearance diamond painting from DAC. It's the red shoes. As I said on the video, this is the closest I'm ever going to have to having a pair of Christian Louboutin shoes. It's a 22 by 22 picture. It's tiny. It's not even a snack size. It's more like a mouthful. It's not something I'm going to have done in a day, but it is something I'm going to have done reasonably quickly if and when I get to it. But it's the only pair of Louboutin I'm ever going to have, so I'm kind of happy to have it. But yeah, it's the process of placing the drills. And look, I'm a YouTuber now. You as a viewer may not be a YouTuber. You may just like doing this and listening to all of us chat along and prattle away and share our life stories and just try and share how we do things and share how we do life and how it's different the world over, and it's kind of the same. So from that point of view, yeah, we've connected with this crazy hobby. I've watched only a little bit of FlossTube. I'm not, I don't think I'm a cross stitcher. I last cross stitched before this year, 20 odd years ago. I think my eldest was probably just a baby. And who the hell's got time for crafts when you've got little nippers running around your ankles? And I carried an awful lot when I was young married mum, and did an awful lot on my own. I'm just having a quick scan, making sure I've got all of these. I think I have. So I just didn't have time for it. So I had a few kits. They're not necessarily the best kits, and yeah, the pictures that you could get 25 years ago were more like samplers than they are now. I watched, Stitcherista has just done a retreat video. She goes to these retreats. What do you do, Danielle? It's 3 retreats a year or 4 retreats a year she goes to, and she goes around the room and she shows other people's works as they're crafting. There's 25 of these ladies who get together. A couple of hours drive from her in Maryland, and part of that is this flyover, for want of a better kind of thing, of all these ladies' works, you know, and some of them are doing samplers, and then she gets to one and it's a Heaven and Earth design, Stitch in Time, which is the bookcase with the coloured books, and there's 2 rows of books finished, and then the Stitch of Time in the centre, and she's got another 2 rows to go. Somebody else was doing a Stitch in Time, no, sorry, not a Stitch in Time, another Heaven and Earth design, I think it is, with the cat draped over the books, kind of like an Eli black cat. You know, and they never had images like that. Like, Stitcherista is just finished. She's just finished Sweater Weather, and she's in the process now of doing, I think, the Ghoul Tidings. Or maybe she's finished the Ghoul Tidings. That's a bit more kind of sampler-like, but I love the pictures. I'm part of the group for Heaven and Earth Designs, normal cross-stitch group, and there's a diamond painting group. So if there's a Heaven and Earth design that you like, there are minis that you can do in diamond painting. I have got a video that I do share, I think, on that, and I have got a Heaven and Earth design, which is based on what Sophie is looking like. Get down, Sophie. She started this fascination of repeatedly going back to something, and she keeps on taking our temperature sensor off the wall. And she's just done it again, because her big sister thinks that she can just play with things. Anyway, so yeah, Heaven and Earth Design have groups, so you've got all these people who are doing Heaven and Earth designs, and I'm starting to see some finishes or even some progress works, and the detail is just incredible. Rachel actually got me back into the cross stitching with a group called Stiochalon, and they do this annually. I think they've done it for the last 7 years, and it was all well and good. She put it up on her YouTube, I think 3 weeks into it, or maybe it was just the 1 week into it, and then I had to wait for shipping because I didn't want to pay full cost for the floss. And hang on just a second, I'm just very aware of the noise. Alright, yeah, I just don't want to get copyright striked because I've got music in the background. The Heaven and Earth design group, so people are putting pictures up of works in progress or finishes, And oh my god, some of these things look like photographs. They are absolutely stunning. My only issue, I guess, is currently I don't think I have the right lighting to do cross stitch. I don't know how to get the lighting at my couch because I don't want to be sitting at my desk cross stitching. And then there's the whole, I'm actually quite tired at the end of my work day. Do I really want to sit down cross stitching? So I have been reluctant to get into it. Sophie, leave it alone, please. Do you need to go to bed? Put it back, Sophie. Put it back.
Leave it alone.
Get her out of here, then. She's gonna squeal. Alright, sorry about the interruption. I may have edited some of that out because if they keep going the way they're going, I'll have to stop the video, and that's just going to annoy me when I'm reasonably close to finishing. And I missed another A. Gosh, these are sneaky. I don't mind this plastic tip, to be honest. I'm possibly not pressing quite as vehemently, is that the word? Quite as hard with the plastic tip. Oh, get on. I tell you, when you're just after one drill, there we go, not pouring it out can be a bit of a pain. Alright. What else am I doing? The in-laws were down the other day and we were talking about Christmas, and we didn't really come to any conclusions other than it wouldn't be Christmas Day because we've got to be here for changeover, and we don't have the full day available to us on either day then. And they live over an hour's drive away, so it'll have to wait until the week before, the week after. The week after being, of course, New Year's, and I do have, I think I actually have a 4-day weekend coming up. How cool is that? Now, there has been some talk of people going live on New Year's Eve. For me, that's New Year's Day, so it really doesn't kind of bother me, I suppose. But keep your eyes peeled for that. It might be a case that you need to watch Diamond Painting Underground if you want to get updates on that kind of thing. Diamond Painting Underground has a Facebook group that I think Jennifer Roberts started, and Jennifer is very much community minded. She does the Deep Hero of the month. That does not need to be a YouTuber. It can just be somebody you know who diamond paints in their lounge, listening or whatever. But they diamond paint, and you treasure them as a person. So it could be husbands nominating wives, and it could be sisters nominating sisters, and mums being nominated, that kind of thing. If you diamond paint and you want to celebrate someone, check out Jennifer Roberts. I think she's DP Adventures with Jennifer now on YouTube. No, Sophie, down, down, down. No. No, good girl. Poor problem. I'm nearly done, okay? I'm nearly done. I'm sorry. You're not going to sit on your stool, are you? Oh, what have I done? No. Can you go get me a story, Sophie? Yes, Jennifer started this group, and it really is the open source, I suppose, the open kind of advertising area. If you have a channel that you want to promote as a YouTuber, go and check out this group. You can put your links up without any kind of inhibitions, whereas a lot of the other groups are very much, they're the people's groups, and you don't self-promote, and you don't, you know, for instance, go on to Mrs. Coffee's group and say, hey, I've got a video. Okay, I've made that mistake, so I'm putting myself on the line there. Excuse me. But on Diamond Painting Underground, you can put your link up, and you can get other people to, you know, just to, not to advertise, but, you know, you can just share on that group without any inhibitions whatsoever. So please do go and check that out. The other groups, I think I've got involvement actually in the premieres for most of those groups. So while I am going to put together the playlist, and it is going to be attached initially to my YouTube, you can then go onto the playlist and save it to your channel. So that kind of, you know, oops, I haven't had a toxic symbol for ages. Any L's? I don't think there are. I know Fee set up the playlist for the October DP-a-thon, and I was able to share her playlist. So if you were to go onto my channel, for instance, and you were to look at my videos and my playlists as, you know, a bit of a who am I kind of look, you'll see that I've got different playlists, and you'll see what's available to you. So you can see the October DP-a-thon as a playlist, because I've shared where Fee originally created it. So it's a way of us sharing. So as soon as I can, I will get that playlist up and running. I have started it, but I'm not due all those video links just yet for the premiere. So the deadline is Sunday. If you're watching me and you're one of my creators, the deadline is Sunday to get your video link to me, unless of course you've been given an extension, and I'm not giving too many of those out. I haven't needed to be honest, but I'm also giving them to people who I understand know how to do things and they're not technically challenged in the process. I only need 2 of these little babies, so they're not going to be an issue, and then it's just a case of I might have a couple of people to rally around and to organise at the later minutes, rather than 40 odd people to rally around in the later minutes, because that's going to give me sleepless nights between work and everything else. I can't do that. So yeah, that will start to come together this week. I'm very conscious of not losing people in the whole process. I have lists in spreadsheets of all my creator people, and I am having to check and to double check that I've got all of the different sources, because they're not all coming from one particular place. I've got 2 or 3 people who are only on email, so I need to make sure that they're all up to date, that they've got the photos for sharing. We have come up with a newer photo that is a little bit more legible. Again, thank you Nancy. She has used her time and her expertise on her program to help us out with photos for this. In fact, if you ever need photos done for anything, and she might be the person you can approach and say, hey, can you help me? And you can work together. And we worked together on these photos, and I think it went okay. Hopefully we didn't clash. And it was certainly fun. I kind of gave her a bit of a brief and she kind of ran with that, and then, you know, we came together again and it was kind of like, oh yeah, we need this, and there's, you know, tweaks and you know, we got there and we've got what we've got now. Nearly finished this. How long am I going for? Okay, just on 55 minutes. I really do want to race through with this. My kids are either going to annoy me or they're just going to lose the plot completely, and I'm going to lose the plot completely. The joys, time pressures. I'm really enjoying connecting with other creators. Oops. I am really enjoying learning new skills with the computer systems that we have available to us. I actually have my tech support live in with me if I do have major issues, but half the time he's still kind of going, Google it. I was like, really? You can't just tell me the answer? But it's okay, I'm learning. And I'm trying to pass on what I'm learning with other people, and I'm hoping that when I pass it on that they learn something new as well, and they're able to kind of, you know, blow my mind away by finding something new that they can do. And yeah, we teach each other and grow. Yeah, I think it's lots and lots of fun. I was kind of wondering, as subject matter, could I record something like geocaching away from the computer? And could I get into more kind of outdoorsy kind of stuff? I think I've only done one video for you guys as a road trip. That was from the dash cam, because the dash cam actually has the steadiest of footages. And that was a lot of fun actually. Just, you know, getting the piece and snipping it down and things like that. And I kind of wondered, would it be something I could do with geocaching? Because the thing with geocaching, if you're familiar with it, you'll know it's kind of a little bit secret. When you get to what's called ground zero, which is kind of into the last 10-20 meters, you don't necessarily want to be advertising where the actual cache is or anything like that. So I need to be very careful in if I record what I record. And I, you know, what I might do is kind of go, because this has happened to me. I've gone geocaching, and this is probably with my kids, and I'll go to the place and I'll look around and I'll actually see the cache before my kids do, and I'll go, I found it, and just sit back and wait for them to find it. Now, I could kind of do that with camera in saying, you know, I could drive you to the area, for instance, and I could film getting to the location, but not film, or maybe film from a distance back where it kind of might be, and then, you know, edit out the bit where I'm actually putting my hands onto the cache, so that there is still that little bit of secrecy. But then the other thing is, I live in Tasmania, and you're not going to come and move to Tasmania to go and find these geocaches in a hurry. But you might in your own neighbourhood. What I loved about this, I actually recommended it to Amber, who is new in Grand Forks, to try doing geocaching while she's acclimatizing to the new town. And I don't know if she has done that, but it is a really good way of finding out what the locals already know. So I went geocaching, and I've mentioned this in other Whippin' Chats, I think, when I was in New York. And actually I went geocaching to every major city I went to that trip. So the major cities I went to in 2010. My family went on a huge overseas trip. That included Paris and New York and London, and I'm trying to find, I can't find it. Okay, I'll leave it. So yeah, it included me finding then a geocache in every major city that we went to. So in London, what did I do in London? I found a mini. No, sorry, I found a micro. They're about that size. Kind of, they're magnetic. They're kind of the size of the coffee bean. It's a little tiny cylinder container. In some realms they're called buffaloes. If you know what a buffalo is, it's kind of like a pill container. They're that small. No, these aren't. Sorry, these are even smaller. They're the size of the coffee bean, and it literally fits a roll of paper, and that's all it fits. Well, I was in London and I found one. I was in Paris and I found a cache in the corner of the courtyard of the Louvre Museum. I was in New York. I think I found 3 in New York. Couldn't find some in Central Park. Did find a piece of the Berlin Wall, which was somewhere near Trump Tower kind of district. I think I found maybe an Earth cache, which is a geographic location somewhere else, maybe out towards, I was going to say north, it's actually south, Manhattan Island. Is it Manhattan Island where Lady Liberty is? Anyway, I think I found something there. You know, but without having somebody put in the hard yards as a local New Yorker, because they have to maintain these things. You have to be able to do maintenance on them. You have to be able to replace the log if it goes missing. You have to be able to replace the cache if that goes missing. You have to replace the log if it fills up. So you can't just set and forget these things. You can maybe pass it on to somebody else to look after it for you, but usually it's something that you actually maintain. And it's kind of like the YouTube channel that, you know, everyone who finds a cache will actually drop you a note, and everyone can read these notes. It's not private or anything. But so you get some people who I kind of find a bit rude in the, they would do TFTC, thanks for the cache, and that would be it. And I'm kind of thinking, did it take you long? Was it difficult? Were you tripping over what we call muggles? You know, how did you find it? You know, did you have any troubles finding it? You know, that kind of thing. Tell me the story about finding the cache. Well, the TFTCs don't really help. But so I would go to the effort of, you know, posting a story. And, you know, this was it. This was 1 of 10 in a day. And I loved those kind of comments. Absolutely loved it. Loved leaving those kind of comments, because it let the person who owned this know I really appreciated this. So yeah, it was just a way of kind of connecting. And then I'm the kind of person who also would leave cryptic clues. So if it's really hard, I might kind of use a word in there to describe something. So I don't know, let's just say it was a wooden geocache where everything else might be something else, and I might have, you know, a word that kind of, you know, might describe wood in some way. Like it's kind of like, oh, things are branching out, or, you know, I had to branch out to, you know, to find something. So there'd be those kind of play on words. So I'm not actually giving away where it is at all, but I'm kind of, you know, just playing. And if you're astute enough, yes, you might kind of realize, oh, that's a clue. But, you know, for a lot of people, it will just go straight over your head too. So yeah, it was a lot of fun, and I really appreciated having insider knowledge into places that I hadn't been. What are you? You are an, oh, sneaky. It's an AB. And I need to give it a push. Now, it's funny, I was watching Heike this morning, and she doesn't like pushing drills too far. She actually says pick them up. But that was on DIY Moon Shop, and she says that their glue seems to be thinner than Diamond Art Club. I haven't actually done my DIY Moon canvas to know the difference. I will hope to get to that soon. I certainly made plenty of Ali errors in my early days, and I don't think I'll go back to those kind of errors in a hurry. That after Christmas, that will be some kind of video or video series. I have been putting my mind towards doing a stash video. I won't be doing a stash video that you would expect. It will actually be looking at these things on the computer and me showing you my stash that way. How did I miss an X? Oh, grief. So yeah, that's in the future. A stash video with a little bit of a difference, and I have actually played with this. Rachel did her 5,000 giveaway, and she used an app program website thingamajiggy called Gleam. I have been onto Gleam. I have set up something for my giveaway because I have reached the 500 mark. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh, you guys can be very humbling sometimes, having you jump in and comment and just follow my journey. Thank you, really, really, really. If it wasn't for you, I would just be talking to myself, and thankfully I'm not. So yeah, checked out Gleam. I have kind of got something working on that for my giveaway. I was going to do it as a limerick, but I think that might be a bit hard for those who are less literary challenged than me. And to be honest, I tried writing a limerick and it was actually quite tricky. I've read so many of them because it's just, well, I don't know if it's that much of an Irish thing, but Limerick is a city in Ireland, but that's beside the point. That's not why it became popular. I think it's just like the rhyming is quite childlike, but it can be really quite clever. So there's a challenge with that. If you're up for it, you can create a limerick. Otherwise, there are other ways that you can enter. But I will do that for after Christmas. I still need to think of something that I can give away that isn't going to cost me an absolute butt ton in postage, because anything from Australia is a butt ton in postage, and I don't want it to be insignificant either as a gift, because it's a gift, and I'm sorry, but I don't really like giving cheap gifts. Kind of. I mean, I like being frugal, but I don't necessarily like being cheap just for the sake of cheapness. So I have a number of different avenues available to me. We were talking this week, a friend of mine, about using a different postage company that might work for something bigger. So I need to do some research on that, and I don't know. I'm kind of just mulling on this a little bit, and if I don't get my act together, I'll have 1,000 before I have actually given out a gift. So my plan is, for now, I'm thinking of giving out 5 gifts. The basis of that being 5 per, like 1 per 100 subscribers. That's not necessarily going to work in multiplication, so I need to be kind of careful on the fact that I'm future-proofing this as well. So I do want to have it so that it's sustainable, but what I might do maybe for 1,000 subscribers would be 2 winners, but that much more magnified in what they get. That kind of thinking. So these are some of the things that we as YouTubers have, not that we have to think about. We don't have to give away anything, but we want to give back to you guys, because you've given so much of yourselves to us too. You know, you share your stories after we've shared ours, and it's really, really cool, and it keeps us going, and it kind of connects us to you, if that makes sense. I, for one, absolutely love it, and I know I've heard other creators say that they absolutely love it too. I don't think there's any of us who take their subscribers for granted, and we certainly don't take your generosity for granted, or at least I hope we don't. It is a potential platform that you could be taken advantage of. You know, you hear stories of lives, and you know, you hear people talk about, oh, I'd love to have such and such, and you know, that doesn't mean that you have to go out and buy something. And look, I'm absolutely guilty of this. Somebody has mentioned something in a live, and the next thing I know it, I'm on Amazon and I have bought the thing and I have sent it to them. It's not because they've asked. It's because I've just wanted to share my generosity with them, or my knowledge with them, or I have been able to find something that they haven't been able to find, and I want to gift it to them. So there's that kind of thing. So it's, yeah, it's just a generosity of spirit. It's not done for anything other than to say, hey, I see you, I appreciate you, and I hear you, more to the point, maybe. So you've got, I don't know, Mrs. Coffee was talking about ginseng tea. I found ginseng tea. You know, and some of the gifts that I've sent to people have been silly. And some of them have been practical. And some of them are because I know it's something that's important to them. So, you guys, you do that for us. You inspire us, both as subscribers and YouTubers. You inspire us to be more than who we could have been. I'm gonna put the X away. There's another X. Alright, I'm wrapping up. Alright, so next Sunday. One more Sunday before Christmas. 9 more sleeps. No, 10 more sleeps. 10 more sleeps. It's the 14th for me. 10 more sleeps till Christmas. That's 10 more elves on the shelves, Mrs. Coffee, that you need to give us pictures for. I think you've been very slack and you haven't told us what Smitty, Wurger, Jagerman thingy is doing. They've been so much fun. So yeah, 10 more sleeps till Christmas. We have one more Sunday. In the thumbnail, I will have had the 3 candles, not in this, because in this one I've got camera, there. I've got the Christmas tree. You're invited. You're invited to our Christmas day. I'm going to be kicking it off at 6 AM Eastern Standard Time on Christmas Eve. And there will be 47 hours of creators sharing their Christmas with you. It's actually going to be no, it's not going to be midnight. It's going to be 10 PM my time, Christmas Eve, because New Zealand kick off Christmas Day for us in the world. And you're invited. Please come and join us if you're free. If you're not free, come afterwards. Those videos are going to be there for prosperity for as long as we leave them up there. Sorry, I have Sophie getting upset in the background and I realised I missed a colour. So please, please, please do come, do join in. You don't have to be there for any onerous length of time if you have family to be a part of. I know we are your family, but if you cannot comment live on the day because you're busy doing important things with real people at the time, be with your real people. But comment afterwards. Please tell us what you did, what you enjoyed in your Christmas, how you spent it. Were you busy running around after kids and mopping up paper and everything else? Were you frantically running around doing the whole Christmas seeing family at 10 different locations kind of thing? Please share. Tell us, because these stories are going to be there for as long as these videos are here, and hopefully that's going to be for a long time. I don't know if this is something that is sustainable year after year. We'll see. It's Christmas 2019 though this year, and this is something that we're doing. If I carry it on in the future, I carry it on in the future. If I don't, somebody else might carry this torch. So I really hope this is the lead up to one of the best Christmases that you've had, or better than a Christmas that you might have had in the past, because you don't have some of those connections that you miss. So I hope that your diamond painting family is there, and I really hope that we can just share some of the burden together. So 10 sleeps, 1 Sunday, 2 candles left. So I mucked up this. The pink one should be today, but I've got 4 candles. So I've got 3 candles up on the thumbnail. There's 1 more candle for next Sunday, and then the white candle is for Christmas morning when the star gets put on the tree. So this bit's going to be next week, and then the star on the tree is going to be going on Christmas morning when the launch and the intro is being done by me, and that will probably coincide with more of Christmas tags, Christmas memories, and I'm really trying to think of Christmassy stuff for Christmas Day, rather than talking all about it now and then having nothing to talk about. That's what I'm kind of trying to avoid. So please invite your friends, invite family if you think they would like to hear people blabbering about whatever we're blabbering about. But yeah, have a place to hang. I am loving this. I'm loving the sparkle. Let me just move those. snagging. I'm getting, because I'm moving ever so subtly, I'm getting all the glimmer and shine, but look at that shine and the, that's, see, this is the kind of thing that you'd have, if my head keeps moving, I'm going to see this, right? So I'm going to keep that moving, and you're going to get to see all that beautiful glimmer and shine and the ABs in the tinsel, and yeah, pretty, 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 pretty. I haven't actually left it out so that the glow-in-the-darks charge and glow. I might do that on Christmas, and if I do get to do that, when the tree is finished, what I might do is I'll take it down to my cellar, to my dark spot. I'll charge it and I'll take a picture, and you can see the lights glow. So yeah, thank you for joining me in, you know, the arse end of the world in little old Tassie, and I will see you for next Sunday, I hope. Yeah, we do the real ramp up for Christmas, the whole kind of, have you got everything done yet time? Because now we've got heaps of time, sort of. But yeah, the kind of pressure will start to go on next week. It certainly doesn't need to be on too much for now. Unless, of course, you have gifts to get for people and you really haven't got a clue. That's really hard. Yeah. My husband and I got each other silk sheets for Christmas. We got a silk sheet and pillowcases for Christmas. They cost a small fortune, but by golly, they're good to sleep on. So that's our Christmas present. So that's easy. Alright, I have blabbered enough. I have gone way over time from what I would have wanted to share. Thank you for watching and sharing, and thank you very much to my subscribers. I will see you next week with the last Sunday installment, and yeah, I hope everything goes well in your Christmas preparations. Bye for now.